WDET-FM. I'm Tia Graham. Now, we are halfway through the NBA season, and the Pistons look like a strong contender in the Eastern Conference. The team has only 10 losses through 42 games, and that's the second best record in the league. This sort of performance rivals the championship days of the early 2000s. But how close is the current generation of players to achieving similar success, i.e., a championship? Omari Sankofa is the Pistons beat writer for the Detroit Free Press and co-host of the Pistons Pulse podcast. He is here to explain what is fueling the team's success and outline the keys to sustaining it through the rest of the season. Omari, welcome back to the Metro.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tia.
Of course. So, the Pistons are rolling right now, of course, but there are a number of significant injuries in the Eastern Conference, most notably Jason Tatum on the Boston Celtics out, Tyrese Halliburton also out for the Indiana Pacers. Both are stars of their team. They went into a deep playoff run last season. How much of the team's success is purely on the fact that those two conference competitors are a little banged up right now?
I think that's part of it. You obviously, when you have guys like Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum injured, that kind of clears the top out a little bit. But even with that, if they were healthy, I still think the Pistons would be sort of in the tier that they're in now, just because of their defense. They've had the second best defense all season, and the Thunder are number one. They've just kind of dominated everybody, but the Pistons are closer to them than they are to number three.
That's a good place to be.
Pretty good place to be. So, I think when that's the case, that kind of gives you a pretty high floor. And it's tough to say. I mean, Boston's been really good even without Tatum. So you add Tatum to that, they probably get to a different level. Indiana's really, really struggled without Tyrese, so I don't know where they would be, even if he were healthy. But this Pistons team has played on a high level, I think, on their own merits. And even with a healthy conference, I think they'd be, if not number one, at least top two or three.
And so, the not even the elephant, but the congratulatory feeling in the room is Cade Cunningham, of course, being named the starter in this year's All-Star game. I do have a clip of him at a recent press conference.
Yeah, it's been a good day. Obviously a blessing to be named All-Star starter. All glory to God. Super thankful for that. Thankful for my team, my coaches, fans, everybody that voted for me. It means a lot. It means a ton to me and my family. And then, tonight, just a battle, 48-minute battle. Both teams really came with it. And to come out with this win was huge for us.
Now, that's significant recognition, of course, number one, being an all-star starter and being voted in that way. But number two, that was you who asked that question within that press conference. I thought I heard you. I said, oh, that's Omari's question. So just listening to that, hearing his response and hearing it back, can you talk a little bit about his game development? What was the key change that really sparked Cade's ascend?
Yeah, I think for Cade, it's just been him continuing to mature, grow up, learn the NBA and, the ins and outs, not just of being a superstar, but like winning. He's been pretty much the guy for the team since he was drafted first overall in 2021, but there's a process he's had to go through, a process the team has had to go through. He was injured his second season, so I think that delayed things a little bit with the shin injury he had. So there's been a lot that's gone into it, but I think for him, really, it's just development, skill development, personal development, him growing into that role. You have a guy that's in year 5 now, and he's figured things out. He understands what it takes every single night to win. He's always, I think, played at a high level, but there's levels to those levels as well. And you're just seeing him make fewer mistakes, stepping up to the moment more than he already had been doing. He's one of the, I think it's just him and Jokic that's averaging more than 25 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds. And Cade can defend too. Of all the guys with his offensive role, he's probably one of the better defensively as well. So it's just been a 5-year process of him just solving things, and now that he's got to this point, he's pretty much a clear-cut all-star, all-NBA caliber player, even some MVP talks this season.
Can you just talk about his tenacity, I guess you can say, and his drive? I mean, you're on a team that was very, very much at the bottom of the league for a few years, and then he comes and swings that pendulum to the other end of it. So could you just talk about, for your time covering and watching him grow throughout those years, how you've watched his mind get tougher and he get tougher?
Yeah, like you said, they were at the bottom of the league. It wasn't that long ago that you had 14 wins, 28 straight losses, and that's kind of the pits of despair. It doesn't really get much worse than that, but I think there's a mental toughness that came with that. They've seen the bottom, they've experienced the bottom, they've lived there, so they know what it looks like, they know what it feels. I think that builds a resolve to not be there. I think there is a desire for them to do to other teams what other teams did to them. So all of that mixes in, but sometimes you just have to go through it before you can get to the other side. And they really went through it, and I think they're a better team because of it.
And they're still a really young team, too. So that's what's also really exciting about watching them play. It's like these are still really young guys on the floor right now, being commanded by a young leader in Cade Cunningham. So Cade also talked about the win against Boston at the end of that clip. They are right behind them in the Eastern Conference. The tough defensive identity reestablished under Coach J.B. Bickerstaff resurrected the team last season. What are the Pistons doing this year that have sparked an even more successful season?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I think the defense is a huge part of that, and they've gotten better defensively as the year is going on. In January, they're holding teams below 100 points per 100 possessions in today's league, where teams like shoot threes at a high level. Even just holding teams to like 111, 112 is an accomplishment.
Yes.
And they're holding teams under 100, which is just a whole different level of defensive intensity. So I think that's the biggest aspect of it right there. It's just that, other teams can't score against them easily. But even with that, they've been about average offensively. I think Cade's a big part of that. Jalen Duren taking a step forward has been a big part of that. Duncan Robinson coming in and providing shooting has been a big part of that. And they're also really deep. Outside of their starting five, I mean, you've got guys at the end of the bench like Dennis Jenkins, who was a two-way guy. He started last night for him, scored 17 points. Like, you've got Marcus Sasser, you've got Paul Reed, who's probably the best third big man in the NBA, can step up and start for him or play a big role whenever Isaiah Stewart or Duren are hurt. So there's just a lot to it, but off the top of my mind, I would say defense and depth are the main two things that I think have helped them sustain this so far.
And Omari, on the flip side, how about the cast of players surrounding him? Because you were just talking about a few of those names, and I do have a few highlights from the Pistons in the past few months or so.
Johnson with a drive. No shot there because of Stu. Alexander Walker drives. Stu challenges that shot, makes it miss. Ausar Thompson rips it, runs, lays it up, lays it in.
On the run out, same guy, Ron Holland, 20-year-old from Duncanville, Texas.
Gets it back from Ron Holland. Shot clock at 2, this for 3, and it's through! Whoa. Huge
turnover ratio in his career. There's
an alley-oop from Cade to Jalen Duren, and they had plenty of those last year. 6-4 Chicago.
So those are a few clips of some of the Pistons highlights from the past 2 months or so. I was able to piece together a few clips of Isaiah Stewart, who was Defensive Player of the Month last month in December. So just seeing and hearing some of those plays and listening to that, talk about how they've stepped up this season, those role players. I mean, Ron Holland is still a very young player, talented player. Can you just talk a little bit about those players?
Yeah, we could start with Isaiah Stewart. I think last season he was on defense caliber, and then this season he's taken an even bigger step forward. I mean, he's one of the best rim protectors in the league, despite being about 6'8". Mm-hmm. I think he's into that 6'9", but probably closer to 6'8". And he's up there like as a rim protector with guys like Wemby, and Wemby's 7'5", obviously. So that's a credit to Isaiah Stewart, and he's been good offensively too. He's shooting 36% from three. We've seen the shot in the past, but I think he's doing everything at a pretty high level now. Shooting the ball on offense, like he's been great at the rim, and then protecting the rim defensively. You mentioned Ron Holland. Ron is he comes up with so many steals despite playing about 20, 21 minutes per night. I think defensively he's really taken a step forward, and he kind of just plays basketball like a cannonball. Like he's always just flying across the court, and I think his play style really energizes the team. Dennis, I think you can't talk about this season without talking about Dennis. He's a guy that came in, played for the Motor City Cruise last season, Had a good summer league last year, had a good summer league this past summer, and then this season some injuries gives him a chance early, and he's been good. I mean, he's a bona fide NBA rotation point guard, maybe a little bit better than that. This is a guy that wasn't drafted, wasn't really on the NBA radar in any sense, and he's come in and proved that he can do it, which I think is a credit to the front office to be able to identify a guy like that and then develop him through the crews and then bring him to this level. You got to talk about the guys who came in this summer from Michigan. Duncan Robinson, I mentioned him, but he's come in. They lost Beasley over the summer, obviously, and Duncan's come in and kind of provided that shooting, some playmaking, and he competes on defense too, which I think just from an effort standpoint, that helps them sustain that level. Karis LeVert, another Michigan guy, has come in and provided that spark off the bench. Jalen Duren, I mean, he's playing at an all-star level, led them in scoring last night with 20 and 15. I mean, he's a gigantic, built 6'10" center, and now he's taking opposing centers off the dribble and bringing it between his legs and all sorts of stuff. So he's grown. I mean, I could just really go all the way down the list.
I know, because they've been so exciting to watch. I mean, they play at such a fast pace. Watching them go up and down the floor, it's just like, honestly, don't get your defense too set, because I'm telling you now, they're blowing past you. You're listening to the Metro on 101.9 WDET. I'm Tia Graham. My guest is Pistons beat writer for the Detroit Free Press, Omari Sankofa II. We are discussing the Pistons' strong start to the season, and they have the second best record in the league right now. So, wondering how they maintain it. So the Pistons' offensive attack appears to rely on high percentage shots around the rim. Over the last decade, the NBA has really embraced the three-point perimeter shot. Is this philosophy really sustainable for this team as they go forward?
It's sustainable in the regular season. I think when you get to the playoffs, we've seen teams in the Pistons position have to problem solve a bit more, I think, to score. Orlando and Houston were two teams last year that were kind of similar, really good defensively, didn't shoot the three as much. When you get to the playoffs, sometimes you just need that extra lift, and I think the Pistons will have to prove that this style of play can work then. But as of now, it has worked for them. The two most efficient shots in basketball right now are the three-pointer and then shots at the rim. They don't take or make a lot of threes, but they love dunks, they love layups, and they do take a lot of dunks and layups. They like getting out of transition to create those easy opportunities. And it's worked for them. Like I said, they're not a great defensive team. Offensive team. They're an average offensive team, but I think that play style works for them just because of their roster makeup and the way they like to run up and down the floor. So, like I said, it works during the regular season. We have to see what it looks like long term, but they've certainly made it work for them so far.
And their defense helps balance that out nicely. If they're not the best offensive team, the defense definitely is stopping people from scoring on the other end, so that helps. But let's talk about the momentum. Obviously, this is hard to quantify, but how does momentum factor into an NBA season? Are the Pistons in danger of peaking a little too soon?
I think momentum absolutely factors in. Last season, we saw them take a bit to kind of build that momentum. They had a losing record until like early January, but they had a 5-game winning streak to lead off 2025, and then like once they got to that point, they never looked back. So that momentum that started then it's still going. Like it just hasn't stopped. So when they continue it through March, April, they have a really tough schedule in March. They have 18 games in 31 days. And 10 of those games are on the road. So that's just one of those stretches where it's like you're going to have some games in there where fatigue just sets in, especially at the end of the season. But even with that, I mean, they're on a 62-win pace. The Pistons as a franchise have only won 60 games twice, and they're on pace to be the third team that's done it in the history.
Wow.
So, like, even the going-to-work era, they only crossed 60 once. And that was in 05, 06. I think they won either 61 or 62, but that was like their best season in franchise history.
Wow.
So that's the pace they've been on so far. So even if they fall off a little bit, you're still in the probably 55 win range, which is still the best season in 20 years. So.
Oh my gosh. I mean, honestly, the way you're putting it is just like, okay, well, they clearly are on pace to do some record breaking, but we'll see what type of record breaking they're on pace to do. Omari Sankofa II is the Pistons beat writer for the Detroit Free Press, and he also co-hosts the Pistons Pulse podcast. Omari, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Of course. A piano tests the limits of a family dynamic in the Detroit Repertory Theater's latest production. You all stay right there. We'll discuss it when we come back. This is The Metro.